Welcome to the MMA Movement Podcast Bellator edition. I'm your host, as always, Nate Miller. You can follow me on Twitter at Nate Miller MMA. Today we're going to be breaking down Bellator 99. We're going to do fight previews, picks, and bets. We got Season 9 featherweight tournament on this card, as well as a light heavyweight scrap between Vladimir Matyusenko and Houston Alexander. And we're going to be covering all those. Any fight with a line on it, we're going to be covering. And yeah, without a moment to waste, let's just get right down to your Bellator breakdown. First up, featherweight quarterfinal bout, Joe Tiamangelo versus Andrew Fisher. This is actually an interesting one. A lot of people on Joe. He's riding a 9-fight win streak, but you could say he's a bit of a can crusher in the past. He's currently 1-0 in Bellator. He is a submission-style specialist, but a little bit like Husamar Palhares. He's only 5'4". He's very short for his weight class, but he's coming in with a record of 18-4-1, and he is a pretty big favorite, I was surprised, at -185. I see where they're coming from, considering Andrew Fisher has lost by submission before, but Andrew Fisher coming in with a record of 12-4-1. He is a big favorite on the card, +160, and I actually already made a play on him at +150, and I'm waiting to make this line go, or see if this line goes up more. To put more money on him. He's a much bigger, stronger guy. He's competed at lightweight throughout most of his career. He's only lost to really good guys like Paul Sass and Martin Stapleton, who are well-known, very gifted fighters from his region that are a lot bigger than him. Like he is currently undefeated at featherweight. I believe he only has 2 or 3 fights there, and not against anybody that great. But I do believe the value on him at a +160 underdog is tremendous for a potential upset. For a Brit, he's got great wrestling. He's got pretty good striking. He does lunge forward with his strikes, but he does have decent power. And I think he will be very large. I think he will be able to probably get that takedown, although that might be what Joe wants. I think he will be able to hold top position for a while and probably deliver a lot of damage and maybe even get a finish. The next featherweight quarterfinal bout is Fabricio Guerrero versus Des Green. He's also known as Desmond, but he prefers Des. Fabricio Guerrero, submission specialist. He actually participated in the last tournament. He was actually a dark horse in that tournament. A lot of people thought he would win until he ran into a little guy known as Frodo Kospolaev, who totally just wrecked him, ran through him like he was nothing, which was very strange for some people because he actually came in to Bellator with a record of 17-1, just running through people, submitting everyone, wrecking everybody he pretty much fought. And it's a bit of a can crusher, you could say, kind of like I just said a second ago. But he I don't know if it was, people like to say bright lights. You could say it was nerves. Maybe he didn't perform that night. But I think it was just because he faced his first quality opponent in Frodo. With a record like 17-2, it's not that surprising that he's a big favorite at -135, especially with Desmond Green's only loss coming by way of submission to a not-so-quality opponent. But Des Green coming with a record of 9-1. He is at +115. I actually played him much earlier when the lines came out a couple days ago at +150 as a value dog. The way I kind of look at him is the way that Josh Barnett had a beautiful quote a few days ago where he said, nowadays there aren't as many fighters, but there's a lot of athletes. And I think Desmond Green's kind of like that. He's not necessarily a horribly or greatly skilled fighter, but he is a very talented athlete. He has really good takedowns. He has okay top control, okay ground and pound. He has been known to fade a little bit in the cardio department, but I don't think that'll be a big issue. Not that I don't think Guerrero has the greatest cardio, but I do think it's possible for him to grind out a decision, which is why I made this play based on value, and since it's not as high, I don't suggest it for most. Next, former bodybuilder and Strikeforce vet Justin Wilcox versus Akop Stepanyan. Justin Wilcox, NCAA All-American wrestler. He does have some skills when it comes to working the mat, but not necessarily a well-rounded fighter. He's going to come into this bout with a record of 11-5-1. He's currently at even money at -120. He actually started as a dog at +110, and this has since gone to even money. But I can see where this would even out. People do have faith in Wilcox wrestling. He does have some wrestling, and obviously Akop Stepanyan does not have very good wrestling at all. But what makes this interesting is that Stepanyan coming in with a record of 13-5, like I said, even money. He does not get tired. He's got great cardio. He's a crazy striker. And where Justin Wilcox is really bad, he's really good. And I do think that Wilcox will probably control him for the first 2 rounds and then probably slow in the third. And Stepanyan will come on hard and probably get a TKO victory. But it's not a recommended play. There is a lot of risk, and I would suggest staying away from this fight and just enjoying it as a fan. When the lines for Houston Alexander versus Vladimir Matyushenko first came out, Houston was plus 190, and I saw a lot of value. I was like, oh man, one-shot knockout power, both guys not very great chins. What could it happen? And then I came to remember that he got absolutely wrecked by Kimbo Slice. And I know Houston's been out the UFC for a while now, but not been facing very good competition. Coming with a record of 15-9-2. He is a big underdog now at plus 220. And you want the guy to succeed. He's a single father with two beautiful little girls, and you want the guy to do well, but he just hasn't really put anything together. I mean, Vladimir Matyushenko, been in the game for a long, long time now. He's got a record of 26-7. He's the big favorite at negative 260. I am going to be parlaying him. I think he does have a lot of value. I think he's got a better chin. I think he hits a little harder, and I think he's got a better record as of late, even with his big losses. But the big interesting thing about this fight that I've already made a play on, and you should too, is that this fight, the under 1.5 rounds, is actually negative 130. I've put a whole unit on it. I'm going to put more on it if it doesn't move at all. But yeah, Vladimir Matyushenko hasn't made it out of the first round in his last 5 fights over the last 2.5 years. So if you want a guaranteed confidence pick, as far as guarantee can get in gambling, it's definitely the under 1.5 on this bout. Definitely play that one, negative 130. And finally, our main event of the evening, the final featherweight quarterfinal bout, Diego Nunes versus Patricio Pitbull. The general consensus on this one is whoever wins this fight is pretty much guaranteed to win the whole tournament, and I kind of tend to agree to it. When Diego was first cut from the UFC, I was stunned. Out of anybody that could have been cut, I know the UFC wanted to mix things up and cut good fighters for a change, but this is one cut that I really didn't think should have happened. I know he wasn't finishing guys left and right, and I know he wasn't winning back-to-back fights, but he was putting on good shows against top-quality opponents, and at least deserved another go-around. It was very surprising. But back to business. He's a really well-rounded fighter. He's got really unique striking. There's a lot of spinning attacks and kicks. And doesn't have the most power in the world. Isn't known for knocking guys out, but definitely has the capability. Has knocked guys out in the past. A lot of guys out in the past. Diego's making his Bellator debut with a record of 18-4. He's actually a pretty big underdog at plus 205 for all the UFC fanboys. I mean, this is the obvious play on the card. They've been saying for a long time how preliminary UFC fighters could win Bellator tournaments. Well, now's your chance. Diego's not just a Facebook fighter. I mean, he's a main card fighter. He was a consistent top 10 in the featherweight ranks, and so it's appropriate now. I'm excited for this. I know Matt Riddle just recently got out, but I was really excited for these UFC guys to come into the tournament and see how they fare. Unfortunately for Diego, he has to fight Patricio Pitbull first. He's coming with a record of 18-2. He's a very large favorite on the card at negative 245. I mean, Patricio Pitbull, I can more or less completely sum up everything you need to know about him in just a couple of very short words. He is a killer. This guy is an absolute wrecking machine. He's got more swag than Douglas Lima. I mean, this guy hots to trot. He only lost to the concussion kid Joe Warren, Bellator champ Pat Curran. I mean, this guy is great everywhere. If Pat Curran wasn't there, he would be the best featherweight in Bellator. He would be the champ. I mean, he only lost by a split decision to Curran, and it was such a close fight. A lot of people scored it for him. And so I really do think Pitbull might even get a finish on this, and I'm definitely going to make a play on him. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. If you have watched Bellator at all, you know that Patricio Pitbull is the real deal. He is legit, and I'm going to have a lot of money on him. Alright, here are my suggested bets for Bellator 99. Obviously, our dog of the night, Andrew Fisher, plus 160. I see a lot of value on that. I see so much value, I'm going to parlay him with Pitbull and Vladimir Matyushenko for big value at plus 407. And our next and final play, our confidence play of the night, Vladimir Matyushenko and Houston Alexander, under 1.5 rounds at negative 130. I'm very confident that one will cash. But those are my suggested plays for Bellator 99. Remember, I don't post all my bets on the show, so if you want to be up to date with everything that I'm doing, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Nate Miller MMA. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the MMA Movement podcast Twitter at the MMA Movement. I just want to say thanks for listening, guys. Enjoy the fights, and if you enjoyed all my breakdowns, you want to hear more, I'm actually going to be on the MMA Analysis edition this week. Not just breaking down Bellator 99, but all MMA. So have a good weekend, guys.